Hello, and welcome back to Stone Soup.
The world according to Sci-Fi Geeks. Today we're going to talk about movies now and then.
Yes.
Mostly then.
Mm-hmm. Basically, recently we watched some old movies from the 60s. And it suddenly struck us, we watched various old things from back then, and we started thinking about how movies have changed. And not in just the obvious ways. I mean, we're not just talking special effects, but
first, I want to say something, okay,
what?
before you go any further? We've been watching ancient sci-fi movies from like the 30s and 40s and 50s since before she can remember.
Uh-huh.
And they stay about the same.
Once cheesy, always cheesy.
Yeah, that's kind of, your pacing doesn't change when you have the monster comes, everybody runs, they come back, they kill the monster. Except for the monolith monsters, which couldn't be killed. Well, anyway, normally. I mean, how do you kill a rock?
Yeah. But
anyway, go ahead.
But recently we watched more comedies, and you can definitely see the differences there. And also in, more of the romantic comedy sort of thing, musicals. Basically...
Okay, we're going to talk specifically about Singing in the Rain,
mm-hmm. The Great Race,
and How to Murder Your Wife.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll start with Singing in the Rain. Now, these were all huge hits in their day. Singing in the Rain mm-hmm. is a wonderful movie. Mm-hmm. It really is.
Yes.
The one thing that we would change is that we would re-edit it. And there's this one hugely long dance sequence at the back mm-hmm. end that we would just take out in its entirety.
Yes. I mean,
it has nothing to do with the rest of the movie. It just...
Exactly.
Gene Kelly wanted it in, and he was the star and the director, and it's a dance thingy with no dialogue.
He's one of the premier dancers of his time, and he already did a lot of other dancing in the movie. He wanted to dance with this one particular person. What was her name?
Sid Charisse.
Thank you.
She's fabulous.
Oh yes. But it is a beautiful dance sequence. But the problem is, it has nothing to do with the
rest of the movie. It just doesn't belong.
It comes out of nowhere, and it's like, okay, that's nice, but what the heck's going on here? See, that's one of the things that has changed. Is pacing and plotting have changed over the years.
They've gotten tighter.
Yes.
Nowadays, I don't care if you were the star and the director. The producers and the editor would say,
I don't think so.
I don't think so. This has to come out. But we'll put it in the extras on the DVD.
Yes, and the Blu-ray.
So see, then everybody gets what they want. Uh-huh. He gets to go ahead and make this sequence, mm-hmm. and we'd eventually get to see it on our DVDs or our Blu-rays.
But it wouldn't be there in the middle of the movie, distracting from what's actually supposed to be going on.
It wasn't just distracting. You were saying, come on, let's get back to the story.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Like I said, pacing has changed a great deal. The Great Race has this 10, 15-minute opening where we meet the characters before there's even any mention of a race. And don't get me wrong, those 10, 15 minutes are fun, but there's still a certain level from someone of my generation going, okay, this is nice, but where's this race this is supposed to be about?
Yeah, but I love The Great Race.
Yes.
And I always
like I said, at least it was fun.
Except there is a shameful waste of pie in that movie. But we won't go there.
The acting styles have changed. I have noticed in the older films, whatever the genre, the acting tends to be, to me, a little stiffer, a bit more formal. They tend to speak a little louder and a bit more clearly.
You know why?
Yeah, the sound equipment was new?
No, they came from the stage.
Right.
You've done stage acting. You know how, because if you have to project from here to that camera, you just talk.
Yeah.
But if you have to project all the way to the back of the theater,
then you are projecting.
Oh, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? You have to be loud enough to be heard. Yes. I think I just lost my mic.
A little bit, yes. Yeah. These days the talking is a much more natural level, which, again, makes it feel more real, but it can, on occasion, make you lose a line. Like, wait, what did he just say?
Yeah.
But at least it feels a bit more natural, and they have microphones.
Well, and another thing is not just lose a line, they swallow their lines. Sometimes they mumble because that's actually what's called for. Yes. So they really do mumble, and you're like, what?
That's when closed captioning comes in.
Makes those of us who wear hearing aids cranky. But we won't go there. Anyway.
But,
and now we come to How to Murder Your Wife, and the other way things have changed since the 50s and the 60s.
In many ways, the biggest thing, special effects have come a long way, but the biggest change really?
Attitudes. You see, I'm sitting there, I remember this movie, this was a hit comedy in its day. I'm sitting there on the couch next to my daughter, watching this movie, and feeling sick to my stomach.
I'm sitting there mostly going, what the hell? What is with you, sexist sons of
WTF? Over? You see, in How to Murder Your Wife, this man goes on trial for killing his wife. He didn't kill her. She wasn't even dead.
No.
So, yeah, really good investigating they did.
Yeah. See, part of it is he's a cartoonist. He does a strip in the paper, and he is well known for acting his strips out in the streets.
Of the city.
Yeah. He doesn't warn anyone. He doesn't get clearances.
His butler follows along and takes pictures, and then he takes those pictures and he does his drawings from the pictures.
It's not a bad way to do things.
No, well, without permission from the city?
Yeah, that's a bad way to do things.
I mean, in the opening sequence, he's doing some of this stuff on board somebody's ship. He didn't get permission from the shipping company, or from the ship, or from the captain. You know what that can get you? Keel hauled.
Yes.
Well, maybe not. But,
and they're doing
kicked off anyway.
And his strip is about a spy. So he and his actors he has hired are running around with guns. Oh, sure, they're full of blanks, but the people around them don't know that. This is asking him to get shot.
Yeah, it really is.
But anyway.
In this day, and especially nowadays, you would get shot. Somebody saw you waving a gun around, they'd call the cops, and the next thing you know, you'd either be face down on the pavement or there'd be holes in you.
Yep. And anyway, this charming fellow goes to a bachelor party for his friend, and here's where it starts out with the butler narrating a bit, and you start to realize that this is a sexist piece of shit. And it gets worse. At the bachelor party, he meets the young lady who pops out of the cake. They lock eyes, and when he wakes up in the morning...
And there's a little eyes sparkle.
Yes. And when they wake up in the morning, he's married to her. He doesn't remember what happened after the sparkly eye thing.
She doesn't even speak English.
She speaks
Italian. She speaks strictly Italian, and he doesn't speak Italian. They can't even talk to each other.
No.
Do they run down to the courthouse and get it annulled? Oh, no. I mean, he does go and talk to a lawyer to find out if there is even...
a friend who's a lawyer.
His friend, I think it was the friend whose bachelor party it was, wasn't it? No, it was a friend who was at the party.
Yeah.
To find out, is this even legal? Could it possibly be legal? And the friend, who wasn't nearly as drunk as our hero, says, oh, yeah, you had me call a judge out of his bed. I got the courthouse to open up so we could get the license. It's all legal. And he's like, why didn't you stop me?
Because we thought it was funny.
So now he has to, I don't know whether the law at that time said he had to wait 30 days or something, but he couldn't get the thing annulled yet. And maybe it has something to do with whether or not you've had sex. If you had sex, you can't just annul it or something. I don't know.
Either which way, basically, it's very disparaging toward women. It's pretty disparaging toward men.
Because it just gets worse and worse. She's a wonderful cook. The butler resents this. The butler he's also a wonderful cook, but he watches the master's diet very, very carefully so that he will weigh exactly 165 pounds, no more, no less.
Yes.
And he doesn't have to worry about gaining weight the man exercises.
Yeah.
Well, she's Italian. She cooks Italian. Pasta and sausage and just,
the one
and it's
funny
all
bit.
fabulously rich, delicious food, and he loves it, and he can't stop himself from eating it.
Yes. The one funny bit to me was that the first time the master comes home, and both the butler and the new wife are in the kitchen trying to make some dinner. It's a very small kitchen, so it's crowded to start with. And the butler is just mortified. She has an entire pound of butter in there.
Yeah.
The master's like, smells good, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was funny. The rest of it...
And anyway,
he writes his marriage into a strip, and it goes from being a spy strip to something like For Better or For Worse. This makes it more popular, actually.
Because women actually start reading the strip now. Because, none of us could ever be interested in James Bond.
Heavens no.
Huh? Go ahead.
But, finally his wife, because, she learns English, because fortunately the wife of his lawyer friend actually speaks Italian. So,
Yeah, the only person, in the whole thing who's smart enough to know two languages is a woman.
The thing is, it's constantly being nasty toward women.
The ladies weren't nice to the men.
No, the ladies weren't nice to the men. The men weren't nice to the ladies.
That's one of the reasons that it's like, what the hell here? Anyway, the long, short, in between of it is he writes in his character killing his character's wife in his comic strip. And because he acts these things out, he acted this out too, up to and including actually drugging his wife. He didn't actually kill her, but he did slip her knockout drugs to see what happened.
And then he took her up, put her to bed. Then he pulled out this mannequin that he'd gotten and took it and buried it in the
wet cement that happened to be laid out next door. With his butler taking pictures from a distance.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's in the strip. At first, nobody thinks much of it, except that the people he went to get the drugs and some other supplies go, wait a minute, he actually did that.
Plus, the morning after all of this, when she wakes up,
Yes.
he's been working on the drawing board. She looks over his shoulder, sees what he's drawing,
reasonably gets upset.
starts to cry, gives him a little kiss on his sleeping cheek.
Takes off. Actually, she kissed him first, then saw what he was
He's
drawing.
writing. That's right.
Takes off her ring, leaves it there, and disappears.
Well, basically, she packed her bags and she left. She went home to Italy.
Yeah.
Well,
So she's vanished. And
so
here's-
basically, his wife disappeared right at the time that his column implied that he killed her.
And because there are people that say, yes, he really did buy that drug. And
And he did this, and he did this, and he did this.
there are pictures of him dumping something into the wet cement. The pictures were taken at night.
Among other things, there was this assumption that this guy was so stupid that even though he's wildly successful at what he does and has this, really expensive apartment in downtown New York and so on and so forth, he would be dumb enough to murder his wife and put it in a strip. But he winds up going on trial.
Yes.
Spoiler alert, because I'm going to...
As if all this hasn't already been.
Yeah. But anyway, see, here's the killer. He gets off, not because he didn't kill her, not because they discovered she was still alive, but on the grounds that every man on the jury, and it was an all-male jury, would kill his wife if he had the opportunity and he
Could
would
get
not
away with
and
it.
could get away with it. If there were no consequences, they would gladly kill their wives.
Yeah. Wonderful message you sent. Hilarious.
Yeah, real funny. The one moment that rings true for me is as the men are all shouting and cheering and leaving the courtroom, they pan over to where all the women are sitting on the other side of the aisle, and they all look absolutely stricken. They are terrified, they are sickened, they are horrified.
As well they should be, since they're just told, if you don't do exactly what you're told and are quiet and obedient, we'll kill you, and we can get away with it.
It's just been declared open season on wives. I'm not sure if it would work the other way around. If they could say, well, if it's open season on wives, it should be open season on husbands, right?
Of course not. Husbands are valuable.
And like I said, I'm sitting here watching this and thinking, oh my God, I didn't remember it being this ghastly.
Yeah. The good news is...
It was funny in the 60s.
What was wrong with you people?
I don't know.
The good news is, as it were, and my dad also agrees that it was pretty offensive on all sides, and he used to think it was hilarious.
I think your brother did too. So,
But yes, attitudes have changed hugely
lot.
over the years. Okay, backing up, when women's lib came around,
women's lib.
and the women started standing up and saying, we're human beings. We think just as well as you do. We can do things just as well as you can. And you make that gesture again, mister, when we're in this mood, you're going to get smacked.
That's her dad. She just said that too. Yeah, never mind what the cameraman's doing.
Yes. Anyway, the point is, women suddenly became well, maybe not suddenly, but over the years became competent human beings in movies and stories. I mean,
And of course, this is the other problem for us with this thing, especially for her.
yes.
By the time she was, up and around and noticing these things, you had Princess Leia,
Yes.
Xena, Buffy, Scully, Sam Carter. These women stood
Yes.
up, kicked butt, took names.
Going with movies, Sarah Connor, Ripley.
Yeah.
To me, that's what women were supposed to do. Yeah, you
Kick
get,
butt and take names later.
freaking out is fine because, you get thrown to a way out of their situation. Of course you're going to freak out, but you need to pull yourself back together. Another really good example, sometime back my brother rented both the original Night of the Living Dead and its remake. Now, both of them start out with a brother and sister visiting a grave. I forget if it's a parent or not. Probably a parent since it's a brother and sister. Then the zombies rise up. They kill the brother. In the original, the sister basically winds up comatose in a corner until the zombies get her. In the remake, she picks up a gun and starts shooting back.
Screaming hysterically, I understand.
Probably.
But still shooting back.
Yes. I mean, there's some other movie on Sci-Fi Channel. I think it's like a group of cheerleaders with a football player. He got hurt. They're screaming their heads off at the same time shooting and hacking at the weird fishy monsters that are attacking them. It's a Sci-Fi Channel movie. What can you say?
Did they save the boy?
No. Some of them got around behind them and got him.
Oh, well. Darn.
But the fact is, even though they were screaming their heads off, they were still fighting back. I mean,
Yes, you see, in the era of, like we say, Buffy and Xena and Ripley and Sarah Connor, you don't just wring your hands, curl up in a corner, and die. You fight back.
Yes. Well, no, there are those who will freak out. They're usually the
sure.
first to die.
But you know what? Some of the men do too. Because some things, some people just don't make it.
I have a memory way back when I was little in the 80s, thinking to myself, hey, to me, that's way back.
Yes, I know.
I know
Go
it's
ahead.
not to you. But anyway, I remember that the reason I like She-Ra, Princess of Power, is because, and I quote, she fights back like the boys do. I mean, yes, there were female fighters in He-Man, but they still didn't do as much as the guys did because it was She-Ra's show. She was the primary fighter, and I liked that. Oh, I liked, the really girly stuff like My Little Ponies and Care Bears and Strawberry Shortcake and Rainbow Bright. But I liked She-Ra because she would fight back. We need it. But,
Keep talking.
Oop. Ha. It's just, watching these old movies, it is just fascinating to see the way attitudes toward women have changed. Like we say, sci-fi in general tended to treat the women a little better. They didn't tend to be, the big brain scientist types like Sam Carter, but at least they didn't get treated like, infantile idiots. They'd be doing something, even if it was just pointing out something for the hero to do. Well, what about this? Oh, hey, look at that. Something like that. But, okay, some of them are still pretty bad. Everything about Plan 9 from Outer Space is pretty bad. But, you have the aliens come in, and there's men and women mixed. And at one point, when the male alien tells one of the female aliens, this is no place for a woman, then why did you bring her? Idiots. But...
Well, King Kong, they brought her because they were making a movie.
Well, yes. But we're talking about bringing a woman across the stars.
Oh. Yeah, that would be
Basically,
stupid. And there were two women on that. Are you talking about Alien?
No, I was talking about Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Oh.
Anywho.
Honey, that was Ed Wood.
I
He
meant
didn't
to...
actually have working brain cells,
No.
sweetie.
Well, I started with everything about Plan 9 from Outer Space was terrible.
Yes.
But basically, I know I've come across online comments about, I've actually seen an email that was going around. It wasn't sent to me. It got posted on one of my message boards to be mocked as if it deserved to be so. Basically saying that women should start acting like women again, like they were back in the 50s and 60s. Can't unring this bell. And I would wager most men wouldn't actually like it if we did.
You know why? Back in the 50s, we didn't act like women. We acted like little girls.
Yeah.
If you want an adult partner, you don't want somebody who, you have to make all the decisions and she can't think and it's just
She just flutters around.
Because that's when men were real men and women were real little girls. What?
And small furry creatures from Alpha Centauri were real small furry creatures from Alpha Centauri. But
Don't try to understand.
if you get it, you get it. If you don't, oh well.
Okay, so
But simply put, watching these old movies is very educational and just how, things have changed, both.
and a little frightening.
Yes. But,
It's a little like listening to music from the 50s and 60s. I find myself thinking, what the hell?
what's that song about, doing all these things to win your fella, but it ends with you will be his, not he will be yours.
Yeah. You will be his. Yeah.
I was listening to that on the radio in the car. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah. Basically, bow down and kiss his feet, and then maybe he'll love you.
Wait.
But that won't be me he loves, will it?
No.
So anyway.
Movies have changed a lot, not just in the matter of special effects.
Yeah.
I mean, special effects have changed a lot, too, but that's not really the point.
Rent some really old movies and see what we're talking about. We got to go now. Bye.
Bye-bye.